Good morning, and thank you for watching the ARC Survival Ascended Dev Kit with Minerva. I want to go over a few more advanced topics today. I just opened a brand new map here. I'm going to keep the landscape and delete everything else. I'm going to add the ultra dynamic sky UDS underscore island because I want a little bit of light. While I'm at it, I'm going to add the UDS underscore island underscore weather. And I'm going to come back to those. I'm going to look at some of my windows. I've already opened the world partition and world settings. I've got my outliner up here, and then I've got a data layers tab. Help me organize my world partition and my map. In my outliner, I'm going to select my landscape and all of the proxies. Hit F to focus. Go over to data layers, right click, create new data layer. Then we want to create a new data layer asset. I'm going to save this in your content or plugin folder. I'm just going to save it in apps or whatever. Call this landscape, but put this in your map folder. Then I already have in my outliner the landscape selected. I'm going to right click on my data layer, click add selected actors to selected data layers, and then everything will go to that data layer. I'm going to save that. And then everything is in that data layer. I can turn it off, turn it on, make it invisible, and then I can make it visible and loaded when the game starts. If you open it up, you can change it to an editor or a runtime. This is landscape. I want it in the game. I'm going to change it to a runtime data layer. Back in the outliner, let's add some water. Physics, I'm going to click add, type in physics. Physics volume. I'm going to set the size to 1,000 by 300. Look straight down and move it over my landscape. Then sideways, hit F again. And move it down close enough. I'm going to make this like the ocean, so I'm going to give it some settings. A fluid friction of 0.95. Turn water volume on. Physics on contact, I need that on. Water dampening is 0.5. Physical material override is M underscore water. Collision is overlap all dynamic. That's the default, I guess. And we're going to put this in, I'm going to save it. I'm going to put it in the persistent data layer. So I go to data layers, new asset, data layer asset, create a new data layer asset. Call this persistent, and then select the physics volume, go to data layers, right click, add selected actors to selected data layer, and hit save. So now that's part of my persistent data layer, and you can see that on the details if you type in data. And here at the bottom it says persistent data layer asset. It's part of that. I'm going to add the BP underscore bind fluid sim buffer global. That is in content. Change some settings here. is spatially loaded. No, we want it loaded all the time. Can be in, clusters off. Let's check the tags. I'm going to change the custom tag. I'm going to copy that and put it in the tag at the bottom here. Something to do with the water volumes linking. Current max draw. Okay, let's say draw distance here. This needs to be 0, so it's always visible, always loaded. Allow call distance volume. Here, never distance call. We want it always loaded. And this is going to go in our overworld and global data layer. New data layer, overworld, global. Right click, add selected actors, and hit save. I go back to the item that I want, type in data. It has been added to the overworld global. I could always just hit plus and find it here if I've already created the data layer. So we have physics and we have some simulation, probably for particles and such. I need a post-process volume, I'm going to make that the same size as my physics, 1000 by 1000 by 300. You should have multiple of these. You can see that there's several dozen if you have a large map. This is a small example. I'm going to select a physics volume location, right click copy, go to post process and paste, and then it's at the same place. For the post process settings, we want to change the shadow contrast scale to 0. The sensor width under the depth of field, that is going to be 0.1 millimeter. Just type 0.1 and press tab. Focal distance under the depth of field is going to be 1000. 0 would be infinite. I'm going to change the sound. Let's see. Ambient sound is going to be underwater ambient. Not the cue, we just need the wave. Blend radius, I'm going to set to 0. As soon as you're underwater, you want to see you're underwater. And then there's some disabled height fog. You don't want your height fog underwater. There's above ground fog, exponential height fog, ocean. So in the post-process volume, we want to disable our above ground fog. UDS underscore exponential height fog external is what we called it. So when we go underwater, we will not see the above ground fog. Used in the post-process volume, this is going to be PP underscore ocean. In the post-process ocean, the volume type needs to be water and line. Material waterline parameter value is exactly -14460.2352. Sorry, 235352. This is going to be the same location as your mesh. I'm going to save that. Let's see. Spawn collision. Always spawn, ignore collision. because there's no collision to get in the water. Let's add a water plane. Control space to bring up your content drawer. I'm going to just add the BP_island water plane. I'm going to copy the waterline value. In the location, I put that in the Z value. Water plane, the actual plane, small_ocean plane. This is the one from the island. Okay, now it actually shows up. The landscape will need to be down to match that. Change my perspective to left. Focus on the water plane, and then my physics and ocean are here. These need to go down to the water plane. So when we go under the mesh, we will actually get water physics. All right, let's set up some more of our weather. I've already added the ultradynamic sky_island, the UDS_island_weather. We need ASA global post-process blueprint. Changes the way things look. We need the sequence day cycle. I'm going to do SEQ_island. We already have the height fog. We need a skylight. Let's see. Add skylight up here. There we go. And we need a wind directional source. Wind. So some of these I got out of a blueprint, and some was just a regular Unreal 5. For the weather, we can add a weather override volume. So that's just weather_override_volume. So once we set up our weather, we can have sub-weather volumes inside. So this part will be rainy. And then hold Alt and drag, and I can make this part over here snowy. Let's have this one snowy. Hit F to focus. No. And rain. Okay. There's a lot of options in there. For our global post process, I need to change the exposure, compensation to 0.501477. There we go. To match the island. Disabled height fogs. I'm going to add an option here and then select the ocean so we don't see that when we're above the ground. This is our main post-process volume. We want the priority to be 10, so it's usually enabled. And then change the spawn collision to always spawn, ignore collision. Type data and put this into our persistent data layer. On our seq_island, that's already got a level sequence asset in it. Shouldn't have to do anything there. We already added a fog volume. I'm going to change the fog density to 0.003788. Turn that down a lot. The fog height fall off is going to be 0.0735. Start distance is 18,000, close to there. Directional in-scattering exponent, turn that up to 5. Volumetric fog, I'm going to turn that on and change the view distance up to 23,000. Near fade distance 150. These are mostly just base island settings. Override light colors, check. Let's move on to the lighting. I'm going to move this down to -14460.235352. So it matches your water line. That will affect your lighting because it's linked to the water plane BP. External actors to hide in cave. External sequence actor, add your day cycle, that's seq_island. Hiding cave, we don't want to see the fog in the cave. UDS_exponential height fog. Skylight is going to be a custom actor, and we're going to add our skylight. Looks better already. The custom height fog actor is our UDS exponential height fog. And now it's controlled by the ultra dynamic sky system. Cloud speed, default is fine. Cloud phase, we're going to put that to 1116.214508 just to match the island. Cloud coverage is good. Dusk time is 2144848029 on the island. You could probably change that to set your sundown time. Moon specular scale. Turn that up to 3. Make it sparkly, I guess. Sky light temperature. Sky light temperature. -3000. So that changes. Obviously, the color will be more yellow or more blue. Weather BP is already linked to your weather. Sunset color absorption, you can change. Here is the red. My bad. Let's see. Exposure, bias, cloudy. that at 1. World post-process actors. Add your global post-process. Let's select our ultradynamic sky island weather. This is already linked the ultradynamic sky to the UDS island, so those are connected. It's got your weather in here. Enable fog particles. We're going to turn that off. We're using the UNRWA 5 fog. Wind directional. We're going to add our wind that we added earlier. Rain volume. I'm going to turn that down so it doesn't sound like you're getting murdered. When it rains, max attenuation. Turn that up. So I think the rain area is a little bit larger. Enable wind directional variation. And we're going to change the variation up to 500 to match the island. Save. Okay, I'm going to rename our skylight to UDS_skylight and turn on real-time capture. The sky distance threshold, we're going to turn that down to 1. Intensity 0.6. And occlusion exponent is going to be 0.7. Min occlusion is 0.2. Search for Day Cycle Manager and drag the Day Cycle Manager from Core Blueprints / Day Cycle Manager into your level. I just did that. As far as I know, you don't have to make any changes. It just works. Select your wind directional source. Wind directional source. Speed is already 0.2, so that's fine. Let's add island ceiling bounds. And change it to 1,000. There's also island wall bounds. Change this to, I don't know, 1,000 was way too big. Change the distance to 0. Of course, call distance, never call. Is spatially loaded? No, you want it always on. You can set the location up on that. The materials are already set. All right, everybody, hope you've enjoyed this water tutorial. We've set up the weather, some water, some physics, some post-process, linked the weather and day cycle, and have contact on physics on the water with particle effects. You can see the moon and everything, and then the other rainy areas and snow areas should work as well. Anyway, let me know if you want to see a different tutorial. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye.